Another twisty sci-fi thriller from producer Jonathan Nolan that I can just never wrap my brain around. Yeah, sign me up. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. So whoever's new and just now joining the channel, welcome. Hi. There's tea and punch in the back. There's no tea and punch. For my first two episodes of any series that I start, I don't get into depth spoilers. So if you're looking for an in-depth for these first two episodes of the Peripheral, this isn't the place for you. But if you want to kind of get an overview on what I think about the show overall and where we're heading, stay tuned. Let's talk. The Peripheral is a new show starring Chloe Moretz and John Rayner from the producer of Westworld, Jonathan Nolan, and it's based on a book of the same name. Never read the book, so if you're one of the book readers and you're into this, kudos, you got a new show based on your book. But I'm watching this show as a TV viewer, not as a book reader. And so the two aforementioned actors play Flynn Fisher and Burton Fisher, who are brother and sister, who are in this pseudo future where tech has happened. But they're two down on the luck family members who are taking care of their ailing mom. And to do so, they're doing odd jobs of VR tech. They are VR aficionados. They test sim devices and sim gamings for companies to kind of earn odd gig money. It's like Uber but for VR folks that they're like game testers. Um, she being significantly better than he. But he also is a former military personnel and military person who's had some tech and some things that happened to him in his life. So they get a hold of this new VR tech, this new tech from this new company that's sort of commissioned to Burton, and Flynn goes in, and it is unlike anything that they've ever done before. So they've done Sims and they've tested things before, but as Flynn says, it's one of the most realistic experiences she ever has, and she's enthralled by it. And the pay is really good to get in and out of it. But as we get further and further into it, bounties are set upon them. The blurred line between reality, time, all of that just starts getting messed up, murked up, and we as an audience, much more importantly as Flynn, do not know what's happening next or what they've actually gotten themselves into. If you know anything about Westworld and the bendy twistiness of the sci-fi world that happens there and how there is a tendency for that show, and a lot of these sci-fi shows like this, but there's a tendency for Westworld specifically to give you the smallest bit of breadcrumb humanly possible to explain what they're giving, what they're doing, and then sort of just stretch that small breadcrumb out from episode to episode before actually giving you anything that actually pays off so you can understand what it is you're seeing. I love sci-fi, so my leash for accepting the BS you're going to give me and feed me slowly is pretty long. But even with Westworld, I stopped watching after season three because I was like, sure, whatever. But I was fully enthralled in season one and season two, and that sort of is how I see this going here. Chloe Moretz is doing great. Like she is enough. She and her brother relationship both together, but she enough alone is enough to use as the avatar to as an audience member to sort of continue going on through the story because I'm enthralled to see what happens with her. I like how smart her character is, how she's making decisions about what is real, what is not, testing it, but sometimes also leading and going with her heart first. I am enthralled with the setup. It looks gorgeous. Everything sort of pays off. It's smart. It's stylish. I love the use of the tech. But yes, there are 1,000 questions. And when you finish these first two episodes, you're gonna be like, someone's gonna have to explain to me how this all works. There's rules that are already being established but don't make sense, and then they're like, cool, I know you don't get it. We'll explain it to you as we go down the line. I'm like, you son of a bitch. But that's sort of the rule or the law you kind of get into when you get into these type of shows. Similarly with Westworld, you're getting that again here with the Peripheral. But this is definitely one of those sci-fis you're gonna have to almost have a notepad with. You'd be like, okay, so there's this one timeline, then future happens, then there's a splinter timeline, and now I'm lost. I do hope that they feed you enough to keep you interested and invested, as opposed to keeping you enough to kind of just keep you on a leash and dangle it as a carrot. Like, hey, you want to keep watching, you want to keep watching. The townspeople are fun. Connor is especially great. He's a friend of Flynn. He's a family friend, but he's paraplegic. He's got no legs and one arm. He's down and out. He's drunk, but he has a heart, and there's a lot behind him, so you can sort of see and feel his desire to help this family, and he cares about them, but he's just like so beat up by society and what the world is sort of giving him. And it's going to be interesting to see what choices people make based on their life and what the information is that Flynn brings back to them. I think a lot of this, and where I am intrigued, is a lot of this is people having to take the things that are happening in their present day, or their current time, for face value. They have to take it at Flynn's word. And you as an audience have to feel that Flynn, Chloe Moretz's character, is trustworthy, important, and believable enough that she is sort of the heart of this town enough that people will take what she has to say for face value. Now, you're going to have people that question it. You're going to have people that come after them because they are now bringing pain upon this world. But at the end of the day, you have to believe that she has enough heart and enough character that people will take her, because what she says, she's the only sort of beacon that goes from the future, or from whatever timeline they have in the future, alternate reality, to their current time. As these first two episodes, we see that some other people may be playing in that world too. And so they have to take her for face value. And so what she says and brings back, it gets questioned by her brother, as it should, but eventually it leads to a point where they're like, oh, maybe what you're saying is correct. What have we gotten ourselves into? So the biggest thing that's going to come out of this, the whole sort of white rabbit that we're chasing, is who gave them this peripheral in the first place? Like, who put this in their possession? Who makes this? Who put this in their possession? It also seems like that peripheral has some type of effect on her body. It seems like after a certain amount of time, she gets, because they can feel everything in there, and they have a whole little really disgusting and painful scene to watch to test that and show that. But because she can feel everything, when she comes back out of it, she is disoriented. She's faint. She wants to vomit. It has an effect on her body, to the point where when she starts questioning things about it in the real world, it seems like there's a sensory trigger to kind of make her stop that, which is another fascinating little character to play with. All in all, I'm a sucker for sci-fi. These first two episodes don't feel, I think they're both like first one's 70 minutes, the other ones might be about the same. I didn't look at the runtime on the second episode, but they don't feel like it. Like, I breezed through them. There are some moments that can be cut or a little bit dull. They over-explain a whole situation where cops finding, happening upon some vehicles that don't seem like they're from this world. That takes a bit of a minute, but it gives everybody a breathing moment to get into, to kind of establish the world. And that's sort of what sci-fi always does. I think the pilot episodes, first two episodes of any sci-fi show, are always the most difficult to sort of get into, because you're trying to explain so much of the world while also giving you the characters. This does a good job of sort of balancing the both of those. And I think as we go along and start expanding this world and start getting more characters, we now have a good start off point that Flynn is sort of the beacon for. And Chloe Moretz is just a marvel to sort of watch. She's the perfect person to kind of take us along this journey. I enjoy these first two episodes. What did you guys think about the first two episodes of The Peripheral? From this point on, I will be continuing on with the show because, like I said, I'm a sucker for sci-fi. We will start getting under the hood and get a little bit more spoilery. But what did you guys think about the first two episodes? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.